creators of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Charisma Carpenter, David Boreanaz, Angel. For 244 years, he preyed on the weak. Now they turn to him for hope.
It's not just saving lives. It's about saving souls.
You don't have to be afraid. Look, you're safe here.
You want to help yourself? Help them.
Give them hope.
If it takes an eternity, he will make amends. David Boreanaz is Angel. For 2 centuries, he preyed on the weak. Now they turn to him for hope.
It's not just saving lives. It's about saving souls.
You don't have to be afraid.
If it takes an eternity, he will make amends. Angel. He preyed on the weak. Now they turn to him for hope.
It's not just saving lives. It's about saving souls.
You don't have to be afraid.
If it takes an eternity, he will make amends. Angel. For 244 years, he brought pain and suffering to the living. Now, faced with an eternity of remorse, he has come to the City of Angels for one last chance at redemption.
You want to help yourself? Help them.
It's about reaching out to people, showing them that there's hope left in this world.
I'm scared, Angel.
Any chance that you might be in need of some rescuing? I don't think you're gonna pull that trigger. Good call.
Every day, he must resist his darkest instincts and fight the evil that remains within him. Charisma Carpenter, Glenn Quinn, and David Boreanaz, Angel.
Welcome to our inaugural Angel episode. That's right, you're listening to Slade, the Buffyverse Revisited. I'm one of your hosts, I'm Jeremy.
I'm a 90s one-hit wonder, James.
Alrighty, and like I said, this is going to be Season 1, Episode 1 of Angel, entitled City of.
Yes, it is.
Very good segue.
Very good segue. How you doing, Jeremy?
Terrible.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes, I lost a leg in a tragic train accident. And yeah, so just terrible. Can't find it. Don't know where it's at.
Okay.
In the meantime, I'll just have to hobble around like an idiot.
Yeah. Well, all right then.
How about you, James? How are you doing?
No, everything is remarkably the same in the last 15 minutes.
Yeah, it's almost like we just did this.
It is almost like perhaps we recorded season 4 episode 1 of Buffy and season 1 episode 1 of Angel concurrently.
Back to back even?
Back to back even.
Wow, we're pretty fucking good, you know.
We did have to delay the season 4 premiere of our entire podcast because we didn't have the forethought to pre-record anything.
Yeah, because
months ago,
as we've stated, we're functional idiots, is what we are.
Yes, and are we going to learn our lesson? Like at the end of recording this season of the podcast, will we be like, hey, maybe to avoid what happened going into season 4, we should go ahead and record a couple of episodes of the podcast for season 5?
No, we won't do that.
We won't do that. No,
because we will be salivating for our vacation,
our month-long in between season break.
We'll be like, yeah, you know what? Let's just call it good. We'll hook up a week early and knock it. We won't do that.
And we won't do that. Something will happen.
Something.
prevent us
Yeah.
from that. And we'll be like, well, we should have done it when we could have.
Right. So again, we are functioning morons.
That's who we are as people.
That's just
Okay.
who we are. So, yeah. So well, with that being said, why don't you just go ahead and fire up the grill and sizzle us up some dates and deets?
All right. As we did with season 4 of Buffy, new this season of the podcast, I'm going to give you an Angel season 1 synopsis. And our Angel season 1 synopsis reads: Angel, the dashing demon from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, embarks on his own supernatural adventures in Los Angeles, City of Angels, City of Broken Dreams. Between pervasive evil and countless temptations lurking beneath the city's glittery facade, LA is the ideal address for a fallen vampire looking to save a few lost souls and, in turn, perhaps redeem his own.
Our dashing demon. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I like it.
I'm feeling it.
In my head, I hear it in the late 90s WB announcer's voice.
Yeah, or like the guy that used to do all the movie trailers, like
Right.
in a world
Right.
where our
Angel.
dashing demon has
Right.
come to
Angel.
the City of Angels.
Right. Angel, the dashing demon from Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Starts his own show in which things occur.
And stuff happens.
Stay tuned for an all new Angel. I mean Angel, because this is not Latin. I'm sorry.
Glenn Quinn, Charisma Carpenter, and David Boreanaz. Angel.
Angel. Starting now.
Yes, as previously stated, we are revisiting, Angel, Season 1, Episode 1, the first episode of the series, City of.
City of what?
Our episode director this week is Joss Whedon, and our episode credited writers are Joss Whedon and David Greenwalt.
I thought you were going to say David Boreanaz.
No, who has previously stated David Greenwalt as one of the creators of the series Angel.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the coronavirus.
Oh my God. Our original air date was October 5th, 1999, right after season 4, episode 1 of Buffy on the now defunct WB network. Our Nielsen ratings for this episode were 4.8 million households when it first aired, ranking it 79th out of the 135th network primetime shows for the week and 3rd out of the 15 primetime shows airing on the WB for the week.
So that's like 5.6 ish mil, or no, I'm sorry. That's like 9.6 million people watching.
Right.
Because back then they considered two viewers per household.
Right. And
10 million viewers.
And let's point out that the series premiere did better than our season premiere of the flagship show. Yes.
Well, I'm not surprised because it's the premiere of this show. Period.
Sure.
And everybody's like, "Oh my god!"
Right.
Just like that, they all did just like that.
Right. That's what I did.
Right. I was like, brand new show.
Right. Yeah. I was like, David Boreanaz. Our regular cast includes David Boreanaz as Angel,
David Boreanaz,
Charisma Carpenter as Cordelia Chase, and Glenn Quinn as Doyle. David Boreanaz.
That's how we have to say it now on.
Okay. Our guest stars this week include Tracy Mittendorf as Tina Clark, Vito Reguinez as Russell Winters, Christian Kane as Lindsay McDonald, John Ingracia as Stacy, Renee Ridgely as Margot, Gina McLean as Janice, and a very young Josh Holloway, who is simply credited as good-looking guy.
Okay.
He
So-
is one of the vampires that Angel deals with in the very beginning of the episode.
Yeah. Really quick here before we even get started.
Sure.
At any point in this episode, do we get Lindsay's name?
We do not.
Okay. I went back to a few different scenes and I was like, okay, I must have missed it. But
No.
So they had him named, but we did not so I don't refer to him by Lindsay at all in my notes, so I never heard them give his name. I think we'll get it in the next episode.
Yeah, I mean, it probably comes in pretty soon.
Because he becomes till the end of the show, he becomes
I actually have some behind the scenes about that, and since you brought it up, I will go ahead and mention it right now.
Feel free to do so.
Shit, where did it go?
Ladies and gentlemen, while he's doing that, I just want to say, David Boreanaz.
I'll find it again, but actually two pieces of information regarding Christian Kane. He and David Boreanaz were very good friends prior to Christian being cast in Angel.
I did not know that. I thought you were going to say they really hated each other.
No. And the second one involves Christian Kane and David Boreanaz being the only two characters to appear in, I believe it's the first and final episode of the series.
Yep.
But I'll try and find that exact piece of information.
That's definitely correct. I mean, I can just use my memory and sure that's definitely
correct. But I think there was something more to it than that. I'll have to find. I've got it here somewhere.
Something about man on man
loving. Yeah. Our episode synopsis this week reads: after forming a partnership with a demon named Doyle, Angel rescues Cordelia from a powerful vampire who preys on luckless Hollywood starlets.
Well, okay.
It's pretty good. It's pretty
accurate, but it
doesn't do the premiere justice.
Yeah, I think mine's going to win again.
Go ahead.
It says Angel relocates to Los Angeles, where he encounters a stranger who experiences visions of those in need, and a woman who lives in fear of a vampire.
Okay.
So yeah, I think mine's a little more on direct point, I think. Yours is more of a broad stroke, almost the B storyline kind of deal, but anyway.
Kinda. Yeah, I can get on board with that. So we open, and this is going to be a little bit longer than what we probably more akin to how the show used to be, because man, I went in on it on this.
Uh-oh.
So we open with a voiceover. It's Angel. Los Angeles. You see it at night and it shines like a beacon. People are drawn to it. People and other things. They come for all sorts of reasons. My reason? No surprise there. It started with a girl. And then we cut to Angel, who's slumped over, apparently drunk, at a dive bar somewhere in downtown Los Angeles. And he's growing increasingly maudlin about a girl that he misses. And he looks over and he says, "You kind of remind me of her." And sitting next to him is this big, bald, black guy. He looks over his shoulder and he sees three guys playing pool with a couple of girls. and he turns back to his drink at the bar. And it isn't long before one of the guys comes over and to close out his tab. And Angel drunkenly looks at him and he says, "Girls are nice." And the guy kind of gives him a funny look and walks off. And the three guys and the two girls leave the bar, and Angel watches them leave. And as they get further away from him, he quickly sobers up. He's been faking it, and he follows them uh, out of the bar, and he confronts them. Well, one of the girls is talking about some club, and she's like, "Can you really get us into such and such club?" And one of the guys is like, "You know what? I don't really want to go to the club anymore. I want to party right here." And he grabs her, and she kind of fights him off and tells him to stop, and he ends up vamping out. At that point, Angel approaches, and he once again starts acting drunk, and he's like, "Has anyone seen my car? It's big and black and shiny." And um uh I'll condense my notes here. Long story short, it it breaks out into fisticuffs, or as Jeremy would say,
Karate fight.
and uh, Angel ends up. Does Angel vamp out at this point when the fight starts?
Not when it starts. No.
Okay. He he and the three vampires are fighting. He knocks one of them onto the hood of a nearby car, and the two other vampires come running at him from opposite directions. And in what is probably still in my top 5 scenes, if not the number one scene on the list, just completely fucking awesome. Angel's got his hands behind his back, and he thrusts his arms down, and 2 stakes on arm braces pop out of the sleeves of his trench coat, and he proceeds to double stake the vampires.
Yep.
And I was like, "Oh, this is so fucking cool."
At that moment, you reached climax, didn't you?
I reached climax.
Yeah.
So one of the girls comes over to try and thank Angel, and I think it might be that's at that point that he vamps out, right? You hear him vamp out.
I thought he vamped out about midway through the fight. Somebody hit him with a board or something.
Yeah.
And he was like, then he looked and he was vamped out, and he's like, "Bad idea."
Yes, you're right.
And he started kicking. That's when he went into overdrive and started kicking ass.
Right. So she's trying to thank him, and he tells her to get away, and she's still persisting, and he turns around and snaps at her and tells her to get away, and she sees he's in full vamp face, and she's obviously scared and scampers off, and Angel walks away down the alley, and he walks by a pallet and breaks off a piece of the pallet, and then stakes the vampire that he had punched onto the hood of the car
without even stopping, just one motion.
Without even stopping. It's just one fluid motion. Boom. Well, I should mention, because this is kind of important later on, when he snaps at the girl to get away from her, we focus in on the fact that she's bleeding, and
right.
he can smell it, and
he's just like
so yeah, and Angel walks out of the alley, and that is the end of our opening scene, our cold open.
That's actually the whole episode.
Just the whole
It's
episode.
like 35 minutes long.
It also, it's the end of our cold open, and it segues into what is possibly. It's got. It's almost. I'm gonna put it at number 2. I can't take number 1 away from Princes of the Universe, Queen for Highlander, but it's got to go number 2. Buffy, solid number 3 with Nerf Herder, and the Buffy the Vampire Slayer theme. Number 2, greatest theme song in television history, has to be this. It's called Sanctuary by Darling Violetta. You're going to hear snippets of, well, you've been hearing snippets of it.
For about 2 seasons, 3 seasons.
For about 2 seasons now, because we've been playing a snippet of it every time Angel makes his first appearance.
And you heard at the beginning of this episode.
In a Buffy episode. And now it is the intro and outro to our episodes that focus on Angel. Go download the full song, stream it. I don't care. Put it on your playlist in rotation with other songs. It plays on my playlist at least twice a day. It's fucking awesome. I love it. It is number 2 on the list of greatest theme songs of all time. Hands down.
I agree with you 100% with what you just said, but I thought you were going somewhere else.
What were you going to say?
Because as we come back from what would have been our commercial break, we see Angel coming down the street, and he goes into an office building looking deal. It's obviously his. He has the keys. He gets in, and he walks through these empty kind of offices that he's obviously done nothing with. And he gets to the back of this area, and there's it's not really a freight elevator. It's it's just an old style lift, an old style elevator. And he gets in that, and he goes down, and it goes down. It appears to be a couple of floors.
Right.
And he is now underground in what is the dopest fucking apartment, dude. See, where I thought you were going to go was I thought you were going to say we see the second coolest living quarters of a hero only after the loft and the dojo for McLeod. Because this is dope.
It is. It's dope as fuck.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you mentioned the loft and the dojo, because this gives me loft and dojo vibes.
Tell me
hardcore.
Somebody was not a fan. Come on.
So hardcore. And I love the fact that it, just in comparison of the 2 shows and the living quarters, Duncan's, he goes into like the main building, which is offices, like it's a business, and he goes into the lift, and it takes him up to his living quarters. Angel, on the other hand, same process, but his lift takes him down to his living quarters.
He is completely safe from the sun.
Right. And I love, and yes, they're 2 different shows, two different universes and everything. But as a fan of Duncan and Highlander and Angel, the juxtaposition of the 2 characters in that way, like, struck me as a fan. Do you get what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, and you cannot convince me that somebody on this show or somebodies were not fans.
Right.
Like, come on, of Highlander, because come on, it's very unique. And I've actually had conversations with people who have said, yeah, I don't think I could live in Angel's deal there because it's underground. There's no windows or anything. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. I could live down there. Dude, you could sleep at noon and have no problems with, fucking light coming in and melting your face. And,
right.
It's dope.
And then the other question is, and we'll see later on in the, like, his living quarters must kind of be like basement level underground, not subterranean underground, because there's a hatch in his living quarters that takes him
directly into the
sewers so that he can get around the city.
Yeah. Now, man, it's just, his shit is so dope. It's such a dope setup. because he's got a set of steps that can go up or down from above, but then he's got the elevator. It's so fucking dope.
It's honestly, it's so much like the Loft Dojo setup.
Oh yeah, and even you could even say go back to the first Highlander movie with Connor's deal. You know, from his antique shop to he takes the lift up, and it's to this unfucking believable, dope New York City apartment. You know,
Right.
So yeah. Anyway, once he gets down into this incredibly awesome place he's living, there's a guy there. And those of you who happen to be fans of Roseanne will instantly recognize him as he played Mark, Becky's husband, on Roseanne. Here he's playing a character named Doyle. And Angel's like, what the fuck are you? Why are you in my house? And like, what the fuck, man? And
so you don't smell human.
Yeah, and is it at that point that he sneezes and
yeah, he fakes a sneeze and he shows his demon face.
Yeah. He's like, well, I am human, part on my mom's side,
right?
And so he's part demon, part human, and he says that he's been sent there by the powers that be. Which now keep this phrase in mind because this is a phrase we will hear all throughout this show, the powers that be. And Angel's like, the powers that be what? And Doyle's like, well, let me tell you a little story. And James loves this clip, so I do. It's about 1 minute and 40 seconds long, but I'm going to go ahead and play it. And this is the little story that Doyle gives to Angel.
Let me tell you a little bedtime story, but I'm not sleepy. Once upon a time, there was a vampire, and he was the meanest vampire in all the land. I mean, other vampires were afraid of him. He was such a bastard. Then one day he's cursed by gypsies. They restore his human soul, and all of a sudden he's mad with guilt. You know, what have I done? He's freaked. Okay, now I'm sleepy. Yeah, well, it's a fairly dull tale. It needs a little sex, is my feeling. So, sure enough, enter the girl. Pretty little blonde thing. Vampire slayer by trade. And our vampire falls madly in love with her. But eventually the two of them, well, they get fleshy with one another. And the moment I guess the technical term is perfect happiness. But when our boy gets there, he goes bad again, he kills again. It's ugly. So when he gets his soul back for the second time, he figures, hey, he can't be anywhere near young Miss Puppy Ties without endangering them both. So what does he do? He takes off, goes to LA to fight evil and atone for his crimes. He's a shadow. A faceless champion of the hapless human race.
And that is the basically the setup for the show. Yeah, from here on out, which is good. They continue to talk after that, and he goes into Angel's kitchen and opens the fridge looking for a beer. Of course, there's nothing in there but blood. And Angel's like, "Why am I not throwing you out?" And Doyle's like, "Because I'm going to tell you what happens next." And Angel's like, "I know what happens next." And he starts taking his shirt off slowly. Doyle's like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa." No. Basically, he's like, "Listen, let's go get a beer." He wants a beer. He wants liquor. He wants alcohol. So we cut, and the next scene is they're walking away from a liquor store, and Doyle's got his, it looks to be like a 40 ounce because it's in a fucking paper sack and everything. So he's got his liquor, and he's like, "Listen, it's not all about fighting. You got to get you got to get close to these people and open up, and you know, you got to care about them, and yada yada yada. And Angel's like, basically like, have you met me? That's not who I am. And Doyle proceeds to explain to him that he gets visions, and they're very fucking painful. It's like the worst migraine in the world, apparently. And then as soon as he sees flashes of shit, and apparently these are of people who need help. And he's like, for instance, I just had one. Well, I think he said yesterday, so the day before. He's like, and when I came to, I wrote this down, and he hands it to Angel, and it just says Tina, coffee spot, S.M. Do we ever find out what SM means?
I don't think so.
I don't either, so I'm not sure what that meant. And he's like, Angel's like, why would some woman who does this, who's never met me, want to talk to me? And Doyle's like, have you looked in a mirror before? And Angel's like, no, actually, no, I haven't, because I'm a fucking vampire and I can't see myself in a mirror. And Doyle's like, oh, that's true. No. So he talks him into it. The next thing we know, I don't know if I guess it's supposed to be the same night.
Probably.
Yeah. Angel is now at this place called the Coffee Spot, and he's sitting in there creeping, basically. He's watching this one girl, and then he sees her come out talking to her boss, and he does refer to her as Tina. So he's like, okay, that's the one I'm here to creep on. So he overhears their whole conversation. She's begging for more hours, basically, that kind of thing. And she comes over at one point at a table adjacent to his, and she's kind of bussing it, cleaning it up, and he awkwardly initiates some conversation. They kind of go back and forth, and then he's like, well, you just look like you could use somebody to, or how did it say that? You could use somebody to talk to, or use somebody for something. And she's like, well, I get off at 10. He's like, yeah. No, next scene, he's standing out by his car waiting for her to come out, and she does, and she's all like fucking glammed up. She's like in a nice like black dress and heels and jewelry and stuff, and he starts to talk to her as she walks up, and all of a sudden she holds up a can of mace to him, and she's like, I know who you are and why you're here, and tell Russell to leave me alone. And he's like, who the fuck is Russell? And basically he convinces her that he's not with this Russell dude, and he doesn't know what the fuck she's talking about. And so she lowers her guard, and they talk for a while, and she's from Montana, and she came here she doesn't really have any family or anything. She came here to make it big in Hollywood, you know, the same old story. And of course that's not working out. And she's like, I've got to go to this Hollywood party tonight. That's why I'm dressed up. And she's like, because the girl who's throwing it owes me my security deposit. You know, apparently she needs the money. And so she's like, well, been nice threatening you. I'm going to go. And he offers her a ride. And so she takes it. And
there's a funny bit of dialogue in this scene where Angel tells Tina that he'd like to help, and she's like, the only help I need is a ticket home. And she's like, and that wasn't me asking for money. And Angel says, where's home? And this is where Tina tells him she's from Missouri. And she says Montana. She says Missoula, Montana. And Angel's face lights up a little bit, and she's like, you've been to Missoula? And Angel says, during the Depression, my depression. I was depressed there.
yeah, I forgot about that part. I usually skip over stuff like that because I know you'll come in and fill it in. So, like, I give the bones, and I let you come in and put the meat in there. So anyway, then they pull up to or they come walking into a nice, what appears to be a very nice, high-end, like LA apartment. And what's going on there, Mr. Ames J?
They run into Margot, who is walking around and filming.
That's Margot Kidder.
And she's videotaping people, and they go.
Yeah, I found, just really quick while you're looking for that, I found that whole camcording thing. I mean, I know that's a thing that people used to always do back in the day, but I just found it weird in this context. Like, it's like a Hollywood party with a bunch of, Hollywood, whoop-de-whoops in there and wannabes and whoop-de-whoops and whatnot. And she's just walking around with a camcorder. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm the only one, but did that seem a little weird?
So it did, but then later in the episode.
Yeah, I know. Without giving anything away.
So you think
it's for him?
I think it was for him.
Okay, I can buy that. I can totally buy that.
Because you know exactly the scene I'm talking about when she calls Cordy later in the episode.
Who? What?
Wow, where was I?
So you think she does? Oh, so she probably does this a lot at these parties for women that she thinks he might be interested in,
or she's just videotaping these parties to get.
Well, she was like specifically getting on like Cordy and stuff, and So now I'm thinking maybe she's doing this is her way of this is what she does for him in order to not become one of these meals, and you know what I mean, and like living it up in the high life,
Right.
Okay, I can buy that.
So yeah, she's videotaping, and she spots Tina, and she's like, smile for the camera, and then she's of course immediately taken by Angel. Everything okay over there, buddy?
As who, me?
Yeah.
I was just
okay.
Yeah.
She's immediately taken by Angel, and Tina's like, he's just a friend, and
then she's like, "What kind of friend?" Is that David Boyle?
Is that David Boyle? It's Tina's like, I really need to talk to you, and Margot's all like, get yourself a drink, I'll be right there. And Tina proceeds to pick up a little star-shaped finger sandwich, and she's like, cute, everyone's a star. And Angel is unimpressed by everything that's going on, could care less about this fucking finger sandwiches. He's on one track right now, and he's like,
what do you think was on the sandwich? What do you think the sandwiches were?
Cucumber.
Was it?
That's, I mean, I don't know for sure, but that's my guess.
I was thinking Braunschweiger.
No, wasn't Braunschweiger. Anyway, Angel is like, he's one track mind. He's like, who's Russell? Tina's like, he's someone I made the mistake of trusting. At that point, Margot comes back, and Tina says to Angel, this isn't going to take long. And they leave, and Angel starts walking around the party, and he gets approached by this guy named Oliver. And Oliver,
ask anybody about Oliver.
And Oliver looks at him and he goes, "You're a beautiful, beautiful man." And Angel's like, "Thanks." And Oliver says, "You're an actor." And Angel says, "No." And that's when Oliver hands him a business card and says, "I'm Oliver. Ask anyone about Oliver."
No. First he goes, "You're an actor." And Angel says, "No." And he says, "It wasn't a question."
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So they have a couple more lines they exchange. And then off screen, you hear a familiar voice. And the familiar voice is saying, They asked me to come back and read for a third time. I'm an actress. I don't put up with things like that. And Angel
Lo and behold, it's Tammy.
It's Tammy. And
Tammy the
Angel looks
vampire
over and he's
slayer.
like, Tammy? And she's like, Angel, what are you doing here, bub?
They
It's so
told me to
good.
read 3 times.
It's so good to see you.
And he's like, where's your watcher?
He's like, where's Rufus? And she's like, Rufus died. he was at the high school when y'all blew it up.
Blew it up.
And he didn't get out in time. He's dead.
So now she's waiting for a new watcher.
Yeah.
We'll
And
reveal who it was at a later date and time.
Right. Then Angel's like, oh, well, that sucks. And then he realizes that the other familiar voice he heard was none other than Miss Cordelia Chase.
Oh, what's her middle name? Do we ever find out?
I don't know. Why don't you see if you can look it up while I'm doing this?
I don't care that much.
Okay. So he spots her, and he's of course like, Cordelia, and she's like, oh my God, Angel. And he's like, nice to see a familiar face. And she's like, I didn't know you were in LA. Are you living here? And he's like, yeah, you. And she's like, Malibu, small condo on the beach, not a private beach, but I'm young, so I forbear. And he's like, you're acting? And she's like, can you believe it? She's like, I started it just to make some quick cash, and then boom, it was like my life. And then she's like, so are you still grr? And he's like, there's not actually a cure for that. And she's like, right, but you're not evil. I mean, you're not here to bite people. And he's like, no, I'm here with a friend. And she's like, okay, well, good. It was nice seeing you, but I have to get mingly. I really should be talking to people that are somebody. And she walks off. And Angel's like, oh, it's nice to see she's grown as a person. Yeah. And he continues to walk around, and he spots some dude talking to Tina, and he and Tina have a little struggle.
Aggressively talking to Tina.
I was just going to say, he and Tina have a little bit of struggle because he grabs her by the forearm, and she pulls away and walks back over to Angel. And of course, Angel's all like, who's that? And she's like, it's Stacy. He's a creep. You know, can we go? And
he's like, well, yeah, any guy with the name Stacy has to be a creep.
Right.
You're either a creep. Never mind. I'll just leave that alone. Just leave that one alone.
So they go to leave, and they end up they get jumped in the elevator on the way to the parking garage. And
children, it's just children.
Yeah. One grabs Tina, and they get jumped by 3 guys. One grabs Tina, and the other 2 tackle Angel, and they fall back into the elevator, and the doors close as Stacy steps out of the elevator next to the one that closed. And as the elevators are closing, you hear the sound of that always accompanies someone vamping out. So, you know, Angel's in that elevator taking care of business.
And here's the thing. They don't explicitly say this, but he killed those motherfuckers.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he literally drained them.
Well, I don't know about that.
No, he drained them.
I don't think he drained them.
He's like, whew, finally got me a drink.
No, I don't think he did that. I don't think so.
He drank them.
No, I don't think so.
He drank them.
No.
We all know he actually drank them.
No.
All in favor of he actually drank them, please post on Facebook.
No, he did not drink them. No.
Because he's like, they're bad guys. Fuck them.
No.
They don't
this is actually, Doyle specifically mentions this.
I know. And he's like, Doyle was actually right. I mean, These are
What's-
bad guys. They don't
right,
even
like-
count.
Because we didn't say, but when Doyle is giving Angel the rah rah, you have a greater purpose speech. Doyle says to Angel, you know, when was the last time you tasted human blood? And Angel's like, Buffy. And Doyle's like, yeah, and you've been craving it ever since. He's like, if you don't start making connections with people, it's not too long before one of those hapless victims start looking tasty. And suddenly you're thinking to yourself, well, what's one against the many that I've saved?
Yes, but Angel, being the brilliant mind that he is, was like, wait a minute. It won't be it won't be one of these poor victims. I can eat the fucking bad guys because I'm knocking out two birds with one stone.
He doesn't eat the bad
I'm
guys.
I'm doing away with the bad guy, and I'm feeding my hunger.
He
That's
doesn't
what-
eat the bad guys.
That's what I would.
So Stacy grabs Tina and he's like, he just wants to see you, that's all. Tina's like, she stopped struggling and she's like, okay. So they walk through the parking garage and they get into a car. I believe it's a Mercedes. And
Yes.
Angel comes out of the elevator, and of course the two other guys are unconscious in there. Not dead. He didn't
Dead
drink.
and drank.
He didn't drink them. And he runs through the parking garage,
I love this.
seeing the sedan, the Mercedes, pull away, and he hops into his convertible. Oh, that we didn't mention. What's Angel driving?
See, and you're going to try to argue with me that there aren't people on this show who are massive Highlander fans. Come on, bro.
What's Angel driving?
He's driving a black convertible from the 60s.
It is a black 98 Plymouth Belvedere GTX convertible.
Yeah.
Fucking beautiful.
Nowhere near a 64 Thunderbird drop top, though.
No, but I would gladly add it to the collection.
Yeah. Well, just really quick.
Sure.
So they're now in the car. The guy,
The bad guys and Tina.
the bad guy that's driving, and then Stacy's holding Tina in the back seat. Just really quick. Do you think Stacy's mom's got it going on?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to know. That's all.
Like his hair is luxurious. Like that's good
luxurious.
genes.
That's like Pantene Pro V.
Right. Like that's
shit right there.
a good genes plays into that a lot too. So yeah, his mom's definitely a smoke show.
She's got it going on. Okay.
Yeah. So he sees them pulling away, and he runs and jumps into his convertible, and he goes to put the keys in the ignition, and they won't fit. And why won't they fit, Jeremy?
Because he's in the wrong car.
He looks around
And he's
in the
like,
parking
"Damn
garage, and he sees an identical convertible parked a couple spots down, and he's like, "Damn it!"
Yeah.
And he gets out of the car.
Oh,
And
love
then
that.
we cut to Angel driving towards a head-on collision with the Mercedes, and the driver of the Mercedes chickens out, and he crashes into one of the other parked cars in the garage. Angel gets out of his car, and he kicks the car door of the sedan shut onto the driver, who had started to open the door. And he grabs the driver had gotten out of the car and had pulled a gun, and Angel kicks the door into him and grabs the gun out of his hand, and he points it at Stacy, who's also gotten out of the back of the car at this point. And Stacy's like, "Whoever you are, you don't want to get involved here." And Angel tells Tina to get into his car, and she does. Stacy's like, "You know what? I don't think you're gonna pull that trigger." And Angel cold cocks the guy, and he's like, "Good call." And he drops the gun and gets back into his car, and he and Tina drive off. And then we cut to Cordelia again. And where's Cordy and what is she doing, Jeremy?
Well, Cordy's down on her luck. She's on the corner. No.
She's in LA. She's not down on her luck. She's making
a horrible flea bag.
She's making casting call videos, if you know what I mean.
I don't know if this is a hotel room or like a studio apartment, but it is a shithole. And she's got like one dress that she's hanging back up in the closet. That's what she was wearing at the party. And yeah, it's just she's got nothing. She is broke as a motherfucking joke. And she sits down on the couch, kind of very defeated. And it looks like she's eating just a single piece of like folded up bologna.
No, she's got a couple of those star cut finger sandwiches that she stole from the party.
Yep, you're right.
I know.
And she's listening. Wow. She's listening to her answering machine. Yes, folks, this is prior to voicemail. She's listening to her answering machine, and it's her douchebag fucking agent who's like, "Yeah, we don't really have anything for you right now, and don't call us. We'll call you." And I'm like, "Well, you would get fired fucking immediately. This, don't call us. We'll call you." Wait a minute, you're my agent, you piece of shit. Anyway, so she's pretty defeated. Then we cut back to Angel's amazing crib, and he is making, I believe, tea, hot tea.
He is making tea.
Okay. Because we hear the little from the teapot. Yes, I also do Foley effects.
Not well, but he does them.
Yeah, right. I never said I was good at it. And he's pouring some out in a couple glasses, and he's like, "Do you take cream and sugar?" And she's like, "Yes." And he's like, "Okay, I don't have those things." And I'm like, "Well, why would you fucking ask? What the fuck?" So anyway, they're talking, kind of having a heart to heart, and he's like, "Listen, you can stay here until we figure out, what's going on, and get you safe." And then she's immediately like, "Well, I guess, okay, let's fuck now." And he's like, "What?" Like she thinks that's what he wants for his help.
She tells him, she's like, "It's not like you haven't earned it."
Yeah, and he should have been like, "You know what? You're right." No, I'm just kidding. So no, anyway, they sit down, they talk some more, and he asks about Russell again. And she talks about, she's like, he loves pain. He talks about it like it's his friend, I think she says, his close friend or something like that. And she's like, all these girls, that he's going, that they disappear and you never see them again. And some of them were my friends. And Angel's like, "Well, not anymore." And then she kind of goes to sleep or starts making her bedding area. And we cut to just a little bit later, and she's falling asleep, and he kind of pulls the covers up over her and just immediately starts snooping in her shit and pulls out her like a little address book and sees some names in there, some female names. And oh, buddy, this next scene's rough for me, James. Again, just like last episode, I don't know where the fuck he's at.
He's at the Los Angeles Public Library.
Okay. So it's apparently open at like 11 o'clock at night. Okay. So he's at the Los Angeles Public Library, sitting in front of, 73 different computers he's got going at once. He's rolling around between them, looking at one point, he literally types into a search engine, oh, fuck, I should have wrote it down. Young women murders, I believe is what he types in. And that gives him exactly what he was looking for, of course. And like I said, he's rolling around between like 4 computers. and he's pulling up all these, missing persons cases and whatnot, and pictures and the whole 9 yards. And he spots one that matches the name of one of the girls from her address book, and it's showing like her body after it had been recovered, and like this tattoo that she had. And Angel's like, I've solved the case. And that's the end of the episode. No. Then we cut to him down in the sewers, making his way subterraneanly. Ooh, is that a word? That's not a word.
Yeah. Subterraneanly? Yeah.
You think that's a word?
I think that's a word.
Sure, it's not. But we'll go.
Oh my God.
But we'll go with it.
Which also, just to go back to your snide remark about the Los Angeles Public Library being open 24 hours a day, since he can get everywhere in the city via the sewer system, it doesn't need to be open. He'd probably in there illegally.
Oh, so you think there's a sewer access hatch inside of each building?
Not each building, but probably the ones he wants to get to.
Just the ones he needs to get to for storage.
Yes.
Okay, I got you. I can buy it. Anyway, so he's heading to the sewers, and he starts hearing Tina's voice, and she's like, sounds like she's having a struggle, and she's crying out. So he fucking speeds up and gets to a ladder, goes up the ladder, lifts the hatch, and it's into his apartment. So it's super fucking dope. And he comes up, and it's her, and she's having a fit, like a fitful dream. So he grabs her, and she's, oh, and hugs him, and he was there. He was eating my face, or whatever it was she said. And he's like, yeah, no. But he's like, listen, so what was her name? The friend that was missing. I should have wrote it down, and I didn't. Your friend that's, is missing. Did she have a tattoo?
Denise,
that was it. And she's like, yeah. And then he just immediately goes, she's dead. And like, not even like, just like, okay, listen, she might be, he's like, she's dead. And Tina's like, what? And he's like, listen, it's Russell. He picks girls with no families that no one, will care, that no one will notice is missing. And all this is going through her mind, and she's like, oh, fuck. And she looks kind of over his shoulder to the coffee table, and she sees that note that Doyle had given him at the beginning of the episode that's got her name on it and where she worked. And she's like, where did you get that from? And he's like, you wrote it down.
She understandably, given her situation, loses her shit.
And he can't come up with and he's like, no, it's not like that. Well, she bails. She runs up the steps up to the top level. He follows her.
Because she basically accuses him once again of being in league with Russell, and this is all some sort of sick game that Russell's playing.
She's like, you're in league with Lucifer. And anyway, so he's like, no. So he's following her. They get upstairs. She gets to the door, and it's daytime. And as he reaches out to like grab her shirt, a sleeve, it gets hit with the sun. His shit starts smoking, and it makes him instantly vamp out. And she turns and sees that, and now she's really like, I'm done. We're done. It's all done. And she fucking bolts out the door, and he's like, bad timing. Bad timing. Probably ought to use some Clearasil. Then we cut to her arriving at her also shitty apartment, much like Cordelia. And she's obviously, if she's a wreck, she's freaking the fuck out, and she's just grabbing shit randomly. Grabs a suitcase. She's packing. She's getting the fuck out, which I don't blame her. And then Russell appears, and this is the first time we've seen old Russie. And he apparently owns the whole goddamn fucking block, the whole city. But this guy is extremely wealthy. Okay. Very wealthy. And he's all like, calm down, don't freak out, and she's like, I gotta go, I'm gonna go. And he gets her all calmed down, and he's like, listen, just whatever you want. I'll just tell me what it is you want. And she's like, I want to go home. And he's like, done. And at this point, he's up close to her and he's holding her, arm by the arms. And she's like, there was this man and da 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 da. And he turned into the most horrible thing that I've ever seen. And he goes, well, the most horrible thing you've ever seen. He's like, you're young. And then he vamps out and she's like, blah! And then he eats her. And Tina is no more.
Yeah, well, so hold on.
Well, he eats her, and then within a couple of seconds. So Angel shows up. He opens the door to her apartment and finds her dead.
Right. I was gonna say he vamps out and he goes in for the bite, and then we cut to Angel racing up to her apartment, and he flings open the door. Or is the door already open?
No, he kicks it in. No, he doesn't, because he wouldn't be allowed to. How the fuck?
She's dead. She's dead.
Dead. That's it. Yeah. Right.
But I don't remember if the door was open or if did he kick it in.
Boy, now I don't. Now I'm second guessing myself. I don't remember.
Hold on, let me see.
And when he flings the door open and looks inside, it's just Russell with a top hat, and he's going, "Hello, my honey. Hello, my."
Like, oh no, he didn't. He opens the door, so he didn't. It wasn't open, and he didn't kick it in. But yeah, he opens the door, and he sees her on the floor, and he walks into the apartment, which right then and there should have been. Right
there, she's dead, because otherwise he wouldn't have been able to walk in.
But yeah, she's dead.
And I really hesitate to call it an apartment.
Right. And I remember watching this for the first time in '99.
Did you cry?
No. But the fact that she died fucking blew my mind.
Yeah, because you're thinking, wow, she was like the main character of this episode, and they offed her.
Exactly. Yeah. Like I was.
This is back before shows did that like on a regular basis, like they do.
Here's what I'm gonna say. So, everyone likes to say, and I've kind of alluded to this in the past. Everyone likes to credit Buffy the Vampire Slayer for kind of creating the genre of TV we have now, where you literally don't know from week to week what characters are safe and what characters aren't. And I refute that, and I present to you this episode of Angel, City of, as my evidence that it wasn't Buffy, it was this fucking show.
It was the Buffyverse.
That's not what I'm fucking talking about.
It's the Buffyverse. Let's quit splitting fucking hairs here.
I'm not splitting fucking hairs. Listen, did Buffy change the landscape of television and like the way television stories are told? Yeah, it certainly did.
I mean, yes.
Yes, it certainly did. But this, to me, I would argue that this is the show that really put it out there that nobody is safe from episode to episode. Name a show before this where the hero would not have saved the damsel in distress.
Highlander.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Give me an example.
Let me think. It's really hard to put Tessa.
I see. I don't.
Main character axed. Richie, main character, seemingly axed. Hugh Fitzcairn, main character, axed.
I disagree.
Well, it's okay to be wrong.
But Hugh Fitzcairn wasn't even a main character. He was a guest star.
He was a main recurring character since the first season.
At the point when he got offed, he had only been in 3 episodes.
4. But he was a main recurring character.
I disagree.
Well, it's okay to be wrong.
Sorry, but I'm not.
It's okay to be wrong.
If you need to tell yourself that,
okay,
to make yourself feel better for being wrong, that's fine.
Okay,
that's fine.
All right.
I would also argue that killing Tessa off was a shock, but it was also a season and a half into the show.
It was 2 seasons in.
No, because she died. She died into season 2.
Yeah, but she was also a main character since the fucking premiere.
Right.
It was his love interest, and he had failed. I wouldn't say 100% failed, but he had fucked up saving people before. I'm just saying, dude. They didn't. I disagree with you. I don't think they broke any new ground here.
I don't know.
I think it's been done before, especially in the UK, dude. That was a big thing in the UK television.
Fuck the UK. What the fuck do they know?
Oh, you fucking mind your manners, sir. We have
what the fuck do they know?
UK.
Limey bastards.
Whoa. I hereby censure you. You hear me?
So, in the original script, in this scene, it ended with Angel cradling Tina in his arms, and then licking the blood from.
Are you serious?
Because he touches her neck wound, in this scene, and he stares at his hand, and he kind of like backs away from the body.
Oh,
but
I thought you meant he licked the body.
Oh no!
I was like, whoa, like just like Tina, no.
But in the original script, the scene ends with him licking the blood from his fingers, and even though Joss claims and argued that moment was kind of the whole point of the episode, showing how Angel's struggling in his goal for redemption, Tim Miner ultimately cut it, saying that the episode was dark enough in that he didn't save the girl. I don't think you needed him licking her dead body.
Yeah, but how fucking funny would it have been? Like he's just like, no, Tina, I can't believe it.
Yeah. But yes. So they ended up cutting that part of it where he licks his fingers.
Good call on the cutting of the licking there. Yeah.
Right. Because like you said, like it's already dark enough that he doesn't save the girl.
Yeah.
Like
which spoiler alert, happens a lot in this show.
Right.
It seems like he's about 50. He's batting about 500 in this show, really, when it comes to saving people.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's probably not the best.
Yeah. Right. So then we cut to the scene immediately after that, as we're kind of seeing through the window of Tina's apartment. And we're seeing the police there, and they're putting the body in a body bag and hauling it out. And we pan out, and we see that Angel is standing on the roof of a building, like next to the building, looking in and watching.
And licking his finger. He's like, finger lick good.
And he turns around and jumps off the roof.
He's fucking pissed. You can tell by the way he moves. He's fucking pissed.
Right. And then we cut to Russell, and he's meeting with who we will come to know as lawyer Lindsay McDonald, with Wolfram and Hart.
I think. Well, okay.
What?
I think you've skipped a scene.
What scene?
Angel being pissed and getting back home, and
That I think that comes after this scene, doesn't it?
But it's okay.
Oh, maybe not. Okay, go ahead.
No, it's pretty quick scene. It's Angel coming home, and Doyle's there, and he's like, I want to find this fucking Stacy guy, and he's gonna need some Or Doyle's like, well, how are we gonna do that? And he's like, well, they got a car that's gonna need some serious bumper work. So he tosses him the yellow pages, and he's like, if I find the car guy, I find Stacy. If I find Stacy, I find Russell. And he's like, I don't want to open up, and I don't want to share my feelings. He's like, so what happens when we find Russell? And he says, then I'm going to share my feelings. Then we cut to the lawyers with Russell.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, so yeah, as you said, this is Lindsay, who we don't know this yet, but we will come to know. This is Lawyer Lindsay. That's what it says on his actual business card. It says Lawyer Lindsay. He's clearly works for a large firm, and he's kissing all over Russell's ass. Russell's sitting there in his big mansion watching a videotape, and he's talking about, the so-and-so merger is going to go through because basically he killed all their fucking board members, but he says it in a different way. And he's like, oh, and by the way, the girl, who's talking about Tina, he's like, you were never there. You weren't even here. You were at a conference yesterday. In fact, there's even an eyewitness who places a dark-complected man at the scene who was leaving with blood on his hands, and blah, blah, blah. So this is like a really fucking dirty law firm.
Yes.
And Russell's like, very good. And he's watching and more on the videotape. And who does he see on the videotape but a Cordelia Chase and Tammy off to the side. She's on the very side. She's smoking her cigarette.
Right.
She sees the camera. She's like, hey.
Right. And yet, ironically, Russell still chooses Cordelia.
Right. Crazy. But he's like, yeah, I don't know. I want to meet this girl. And Lindsay's like, okay. And then we cut to a large window.
Hold on.
Oh.
Because Lindsay's basically like, are we going to have to come up? Are we going to have to create another alibi? And Russell's like, nah, I'm just hungry.
Yeah. And then we cut, like I said, to a big plate glass window, and this dude goes flying headfirst out of it. And Angel's on the other side, where he's clearly ejected someone from the premises. And then he has Stacy down on a weight bench, and he's got the fucking weight bar over his throat, and he's like, tell me about fucking Russell. Where does he live? What's the security like? Yada yada. Stacy's like, you don't want to get involved, and blah blah blah. And Angel's just like, bitch, I'm Angel. And he's like, that's true. Here's everything I know. And then we cut to Cordy in her crappy apartment. And she's like, what do you call this? Is this like transcendental meditation or something she's doing? I'm not sure. She's like in a meditation pose, and she's doing that positive thinking or positive talking thing where she's like, right, I will succeed and people will help me, and I am good, and blah 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 blah. And she's like, and I'm starving, and so she probably hasn't eaten in a couple days. And I'm like, here's what I don't get. Cordy's a 10, right? Am I right?
Yeah.
Okay. Throw that dress on, go literally anywhere in public, and there will be dudes lining up to take you out to dinner. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying she even has to do anything, put out or nothing. I'm just saying, she's a fucking 10. It shouldn't be that hard to get a meal. But anyway, phone rings. She answers, and it's the chick that threw the party from earlier. And she's like, guess who wants to meet you? And Cordelia's like, the president? Obviously, the president would want to meet you, right? No. She says, could it be, an agent, a director, assistant of an assistant of an assistant who wants to spring for dinner. And she's like, Russell Winters. And Cordelia goes, the finance guy? And she goes, oh, he's much more than that. You know, he makes people's careers, you know, take off in this town and blah, blah, blah. And she's like, a limo will come to pick you up and take you to his house. And Cordy's like, well, they have sandwiches? And so she's like, Urker. And they're going to go to do that. So then we cut to
and this is what Margot is doing in this scene, and the fact that she's the one that Lindsay reached out to get a hold of Cordy is what leads me to believe that she tapes these gatherings for Russell.
She is basically Heidi Fleiss.
Because while she's on the phone with Cordy, she's popping pills.
Oh yeah,
and drowning them with
vodka.
With vodka.
Yeah.
So like she's definitely. I got the impression that
she knows she's sending these chicks to their death.
Right. She feels guilty about it.
Yeah, she's basically Heidi Fleiss, the vampire's version of Heidi Fleiss.
Right.
So we cut to back to Angel's house, and he's packing a bag with lots of fucking shit in it. And Doyle's like, wow, like you're going to war. He's like, well, with your age, you've probably seen a few, huh? And Angel says 14, not counting Vietnam. And Doyle looks at him, he goes, they never declared it. So now, Angel's how old? Like 200 and
some odd years old.
And he's 14 fucking wars and Vietnam. I find it. Well, anyway, forget it. Cut to Cordy riding in the limo, and she's happy.
Well, it seems like a lot until you consider the fact that in all of recorded history, the world as a whole has only known 100 years of peace. Like, without any wars. So
what I was going to bring up was that I don't see Angel partaking in wars until after he would have gotten his soul back.
Oh no, they never said he partook in wars, just that he's seen them.
Oh, well, okay. Anyway, Cordy's now in the limo, and she's happy as fuck. She's giddy, obviously. This is more up to the Cordelia Chase we know. This is more up to her standards here. And cut back to Angels, and you know, he's ready to go. He's got his bag of war supplies, and Doyle's like, well, I'll be there with you in spirit. And Angel tosses him the keys, and he's like, you're driving. And Doyle's like, no. I'm not combat ready. I'm just the messenger. And Angel says, I'm the message. And they go. And Cordy has now arrived, and the butler brings her up to Russell, and Russell's like, you know, you can go. We would like to be alone. And butler leaves, and she's going around looking at the place. It is a very fucking big and a very fucking nice place. And she's like, wow, you know, the curtains and everything. And she's looking at all the different stuff. And she sits down on the couch at one point and kind of admits that, you know, shit hasn't been going all that well for her as of what she thought was going to happen. And she's, you know, kind of talked a little bit also about her former rich life, which is no more. And how since coming to LA also hasn't really worked out. And we cut to Angel and Doyle, who have now arrived at Russell's abode, and they're out at the guard shack where the gate is to get in. And Angel gets out, and he acts like he's just a lost, goofy tourist, and he's like da 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 da, and then he just immediately just smokes the guy right in the jaw and knocks him out. yanks the cords out of the cameras, and he's grabs his bag out of the back of the car, and he's like, tells Doyle, he said, if I'm not out in 10 minutes, I'm not coming out. And Doyle's like, okay. We cut back. Cordy's still kind of going on about her woes and everything, and then she's like, well, anyway, I probably look terrible. I probably look like a mess. Let me, she gets up and she's trying to find a mirror to check out her makeup and stuff, and can't find one. And then she looks at she's like, no mirrors, and she's like, wait, all these heavy curtains. She's like, you're a vampire. She just says that out of nowhere to Russell, and Russell's like, what? No, I'm not. He says it just like that, like, no, I'm not. She's like, you are too. And they start going back and forth, and then she kind of realizes, wait a minute, maybe I should have shut the fuck up, because I'm now locked in this giant place with this fucking vampire.
Right.
And
at one point when they're going back and forth, she's like, I'm from Sunnydale. We had our own Hellmouth.
Yeah. And then we cut to back outside, and Angel is now affixing what appears to be a small bomb onto the electrical box outside of the house with a timer set. And then he cuts over and he's kind of looking up to the second level where there's railing and stuff, and he's got a grappling hook, and he tosses that up and hooks it and starts climbing up. And at that point, we cut back to Russell and Cordy, and he's like, well, the truth is, I'm glad now I don't have to do all the bullshit. I can just fucking eat you. And she's like, deuces. And she bails out of that room, and she's running through the house. He's, it's like the Jason chase. He's like walking. She's running frantically. And he's just walking. And he finally catches up to her and gets a hold of her, and he's all vamped out, and he's about ready to go in for the bite, when all of a sudden that little explosive that Angel had set goes off, and woof, all the lights go off in the mansion. At which point, from the darkness, we hear Angel say, Russell Winters. And Russell's like, oh. And Angel steps out of the darkness and says, I've got a message for you from Tina. And he's like, and she says you're a real dick for eating. That's the message. Okay, I'm leaving. No. And Russell's like, you've made a huge mistake. You shouldn't have come here. And Cordy's like, you don't know who he is, do you? She's like, you're going to get your ass kicked.
The smile Cordelia had on her face when she realized Angel was there and that Russell didn't know who Angel was.
Right. She's like, you don't know who he is, do you? He's going to kick your ass. At which point they go to fisticuffing, and Angel is in fact pretty much handling Mr. Winters easily. Mm-hmm. And then some guards show up, and they of course have guns. Angel grabs Cordy and spins around and takes the gunshots in his back and jumps with her off the railing down to the first floor, and they get the fuck out. Well, at the same time, Doyle hears the gunshots going off, and he's like, that's it. Fuck this. I'm out. He fucking backs out and starts to leave, and he gets, a little bit down the road, and he's like, damn it. And he spins around, he comes back, and he's like, and he's like, fuck it, and he just floors it, and he's heading full speed towards the gate, fucking hits the gate, nothing happens. He bounces off. And he's like, strong gate. And now the car's all kind of crunched up and smoking. I was like, oh, it's a nice car. At which point, Angel and Cordy arrive. They jump in. Well, Angel kind of falls in because he's got a bunch of bullets in him. And which we got to talk about this in this next scene. They get in. Doyle speeds off. We get back to Angel's place, and they're patching Angel up. Well, first oh shit, who was it? Was it Doyle that was digging in him for the bullet?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's got like a long pair of fucking hemos, and he's digging in in the wound to pull the bullet out. Why is this necessary? He's a vampire.
probably still doesn't want bullets in him.
Yeah, but wouldn't it just come out?
No. Why would it just come out?
It does in Immortals.
You're mixing universes now.
Yeah, but you're telling me that every time a vampire gets hurt or like gets a fucking bullet in them, they have to go have somebody dig it out?
Probably.
Oh, fucking stupid. Anyway, and they have to put a fucking Band-Aid on his wound?
Well, that part I think is unnecessary,
I mean,
but
come on, he's fucking supposed to heal anyway. Yeah.
That's actually something I always had an issue with Highlander was that when they heal. Well, actually, wait, when did they ever show that the bullets just come out?
In Endgame.
Oh, fuck that movie.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, here's the thing. This is what I always thought. This is what I always pictured happened, even though it was never like shown. Okay, did you ever see I'm sure you did. I believe it was it Wolverine Origins or was it Wolverine the one Wolverine movie where he gets or wait a minute, it might have been one of the X-Men movies, like X2. He gets shot
in the head.
I think in the head, and then you see slowly the bullet come out and
when it's
and
healing,
it drops out, and then it heals. His healing factor is what I kind of always felt like Immortal's healing factor was like. Like the body would just expel the foreign object, and then the healing process would be. That's what I always pictured Highlander Immortal healing to be like. But, that's kind of what I always pictured any like supernatural healing type creature like thing, because it's like otherwise, okay, let's say they're in a war, they're in the war of whatever, and they get hit with a bunch of fucking shrapnel you're telling me they got to spend the next like 10 years pulling fucking shrapnel out of their body? Like, I don't know, it takes away from the magic of like, oh, let's put a fucking Band-Aid on you now. What if you don't?
Right.
Is he gonna fucking die? That kind of defeats the purpose of being immortal.
Right. Yeah, the bandage thing I agree with. I never understood that.
Yeah.
The digging the bullets out, like, I see where you're coming from, but
yeah. Okay, well. Now, Cordy does have a good line in this because it's a quick scene, but she's like, when Doyle finally gets the bullet out, she's like, "Oh, thank God!" She's like, "I thought I was gonna faint while barfing," and I thought that was a pretty good line. And she's like, "So now it's all good now, right? Like he's not gonna come after me anymore, right? He'll leave me alone, and we're safe. I'm safe, right?" Angel knows, nope. So, what happens, James? We cut to the next day, and what's going on? I'll let you have the good stuff.
Angel stalks into a top floor conference room at Russell Winters Enterprises, where Russell is having a meeting with Lindsay and other representatives of Wolfram and Hart. And Angel confronts Russell, and Russell's basically like, listen, I pay my taxes and this and that, and I don't make waves and I don't cause trouble, and I keep my name out of the news, and as a result, I can do whatever the fuck I want. And Angel is completely unimpressed, and he proceeds to put his foot on Russell's chair in between Russell's legs, and he leans down close to Russell and he asks Russell, "Can you fly?" And Russell kind of looks confused, and Angel proceeds to give the chair a kick or a push, whatever, and Russell crashes through the window with his chair into the sunlight, and he's
like 30 stories up.
He's screaming. as he's falling, and he bursts into flames and dusts midair, and we see the chair and a bunch of ashes come crashing to the ground outside the building. And Angel's like, I guess not. And he calmly turns around and starts to walk away. And I should mention, previously Lindsay had handed Angel a business card, and as Angel's walking away, he slides the card into the breast pocket of Lindsay's suit jacket and pats his chest and walks away. And Lindsay pulls out his cell phone and he calls someone, and he sets up a meeting at he sets up a meeting at like 4:00, I think it was. Not that it matters. And he's like, there's a new player in town. And then he's like, no, there's no reason to involve the senior partners, not yet anyway. And then we cut back to Angel's place, and Angel picks up the phone and he dials, and it rings, and someone picks up. And what do we hear on the other end of the line, Jeremy?
Tammy.
It's Tammy.
She's like, hello.
She's like, hello? Hello? Is this my stalker again?
What are you wearing?
No,
it's Buffy.
He hears Buffy. We hear the hello from the previous episode of Buffy that aired. So it was the first of
many,
however small or however big, crossovers between. Actually, well, I maybe not, if you count David's brief appearance at the Bronze in the first episode.
But that wasn't supposed to be him.
That's true. True.
I wouldn't. I don't count that one.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah, I wouldn't either. And he, of course, hangs up without talking to her. And then what happens?
Then he comes out and Doyle's like, good job, bro. And Angel's like, meh. And he's like, well, they hear screaming, like blood-curdling fucking scream.
Well, Angel's kind of like, he's down on himself. He's like, how, what?
I didn't save the girl.
Right. He's like, I killed a vampire. What good does that do Tina now? She's dead. And Doyle's like, well, I don't know. There's a young lady upstairs who's, pretty happy right now. And then we hear Cordelia scream.
Go ahead.
No, finish it up.
Oh no, you came in.
No, please
go.
No, please go. I'm sorry. Please go.
So they go running up there because they hear this blood-curdling scream.
Well, no, what happens? No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
You fucking dick. And she's like cleaning the office area upstairs, and they're like, and what it was is she had seen a roach, and they're like, what the fuck are you doing? Long story short, she's like, listen, we should make this a business. You help people and blah, blah, blah. She's like, we'll charge the rich people, the rich one. Because she's like, you're in LA, you're bound to get rich clients too. Charge the rich ones, and she's like, and then you just pay me a flat fee. And she's kind of like squirrely about it. And he realizes that he knows what's going on. He realizes that this is something she needs. And I think he's kind of intrigued by it. I think he's kind of like, maybe, maybe, give it a shot. See what happens, So he's just like, okay, he hands her the thing and she's like, Dope, son. Deuces. And she goes back to cleaning. And that's the end of our episode.
Is it?
Isn't it?
No, she's like, oh, he agrees, and she's like, well, only until my inevitable stardom kicks in.
Right, and then we do
Right. Doyle tells Angel, he's like, you made a good choice. She'll provide a connection to the world. She's got a very humanizing influence. And Angel kind of smiles, and he's like, you think she's a hottie. And this has Whedon written all over it. Doyle says, yeah, she's a stiffener.
Right? I was like, I can't believe they got it. And then we do the
right.
The finishing.
Doyle's like, there's a lot of people in this city that need helping. And Angel's like, so I noticed. And Doyle says, you game? And then we cut to LA at night. And then Angel standing on top of a building looking over the city. And he says, I'm game. And that is the end of our series premiere of Angel.
Ain't it something?
A little behind the scenes here that I didn't get to while we were talking about the episode. The vampire prosthetics, except for Angel specifically, were a design that hadn't been used before and were only used in this episode.
Thankfully, because they did not look good.
Right.
Angel's did, you said, because his was
the
old
same.
School ones. Yeah, these new ones were they were horrible.
Yeah. The original draft of the script revealed that Angel was originally intended to include the character Whistler, played by Max Perlich, who had already been featured as Angel's guide in Buffy episodes Becoming Part 1 and Part 2. Perlich said in an interview regarding the show, I never got called again. If they had called, I would have probably accepted because it was a great experience, and I think Joss is very original and talented. But instead, for whatever reason, the producers decided to create Doyle, who is very Whistler-like.
And spoilers, he doesn't last.
Stop it.
What? Who? What? Where?
I'm deliberately trying to avoid that this season because we do have at least one person who's a first-time viewer.
We do?
Darlene.
I know. Being a smart ass.
And there's certain things that, especially in Angel, that like you need to have that, oh my God, impact. You know what I'm saying?
I'm going to spoil everything.
You're such a dick. Such a dick. Can you guess what our body count was this week? Or this episode?
3.
6.
What?
6.
Oh, yeah. 2 of them for sure I forgot about.
Well, you suck. It's okay.
I know. Now, are you counting the 2 that he obviously killed in the elevator?
No.
Well, then we had 8.
He did not kill them.
Definitely did.
Our music this week, Gus Gus with Lady Shave and Teenage Sensation, Howie Beck, Maybe I Belong, Wellwater Conspiracy, Right of Left Field, and I'm Game by series composer Christoph Beck. Jeremy.
Yes, James.
I skipped Monsterology because there was none.
Yeah. Except to just do away with that.
Why don't you fuck right off? Jeremy.
Yes.
Why don't you tell me?
On
a scale of 1 to 5.
Right.
How many flying vampires do you give this episode?
I've gone back and forth. I'm going to give it a 4.
Okay.
I'm going to go with a 4 because I think it's a hell of a good series opening episode. to me, okay, how do I explain this without shitting on Welcome to the Hellmouth? Because I'm not trying to shit on Welcome to the Hellmouth, but this as a series opener is much slicker, and obviously because they have, Joss has got 3 seasons of Buffy now under his belt. He knows what the fuck is going on. He knows what he wants this show to be. We all know the character of Angel. So yeah, he's got that as a benefit, but it's a hell of a good series premiere episode. A lot of series premiere episodes aren't this good.
Right.
And when you go back and you love a show and you go back and you watch the beginning of a series and you're like, ooh, that series opener was not so hot, was it?
Right. Or sometimes the first entire 2 seasons.
Yeah, sometimes. So you can go fuck yourself. Yeah, because I know exactly what you're alluding to, prick. No, it's really good. I don't have any major complaints about this entire episode. Tiny little things, like we always do, just to break balls. And just like I said about this week's Buffy episode, it's a perfect episode that's self-contained, and yet it also lays out, kind of what we're going to ramp into. We meet this Wolfram and Hart agency. We hear about this, quote unquote, the powers that be. We meet Doyle. We see Cordy's going to be part of this whole thing. So, a lot like this week's Buffy episode, man, it's a solid 4 to me. And plus I love this show. So maybe that's a little, maybe I'm a little, sugared up by that, but yeah, I love this show. So it's a 4. James.
Yes, sir.
Tell me and our fine audience, on a scale of 1 to 5, how many terrible vampire makeups do you give this episode?
Well, for the first time ever, I am going to break our scale for a premiere. This is a 6, dude.
Oh,
for me personally.
Okay.
There is nothing wrong with this episode.
Plus, you did climax at the beginning.
I did climax a couple times.
So that probably helped you out
during the episode. No, there's nothing wrong about this episode. There's nothing wrong with it. It's a perfect series premiere, especially as a spin-off of a flagship show. Mm-hmm. Much like we both said about the season 4 premiere of Buffy, it does a good job of catching us up and picking us up with our established characters and where they're at in this new setting, this new environment with Angel and Cordy. It does a good job of giving us introductions to our other main character in Doyle. It does, and even though it's a self-contained story, which is very good in and of itself, it does a good job of planting the seeds of what's to come in the grander scheme of things as the show progresses, with not only the powers that be, but Lindsay and Wolfram and Hart and the senior partners. So yeah, this is a 6 for me.
All right, I can get behind it. So. All right, hey James, can you do me just a small favor?
Yes, I'll let you see it again.
Whoa! No, just let our fabulous audience know how the hell they can get in touch with us, whether they want to be nice or even if they want to shit on us.
I will. They can go to buffyrevisited.com, and they're going to find links to our Facebook, our YouTube, and a link to our email, which is buffyrevisited@gmail.com. And if you go to Facebook, they can leave us comments on any of our posts. We post regularly, at least one. Well, now it'll be twice a week, at least. So you can leave us comments on any of our posts. If you go to YouTube, you can watch the video version of this podcast that you're listening to. This very one. Can you believe that?
Love
Can you
tech.
believe that?
I just love it.
And you can leave us comments there. Of course, you can email us, like I said, at buffyrevisited.com and reach out to us. You know, leave us comments about the episode that we are currently revisiting, the series overall, both of them, Buffy and Angel. Comments about the podcast itself and what you think of us and how we're doing and whatnot. But definitely suggestions, yeah. But definitely reach out to us. We 100% love hearing from you guys. We love engaging in conversation with you guys about these shows. We love hearing your own thoughts and opinions and reviews and ratings of the shows. Any new listeners that are listening, or any old listeners that haven't yet, please go check out the Facebook. You'll see, especially with season 3, a lot more interaction from a couple of listeners, particularly Darlene and Catherine, posting their own thoughts and reviews and ratings of the shows and commenting on our reviews and some ongoing conversation about episodes, which we love. That is really what we would love to see more of happening. So yeah, please reach out to us.
As I said in the 80s, reach out and touch someone. Literally. So yeah, next week, James, we will be jumping into Buffy season 4, episode 2, Living Conditions.
Yes.
And I can't wait for that one because I don't want to give anything away, but I can't wait for that one. Okay, so with everything, I guess we're done with everything. So with that being said, thanks for joining us this week. We will see you next week for Buffy and Angel. I've been one of your hosts. I'm Jeremy.
I'm your other host, James.
Toodaloo.